What do you think of another potential trade piece for the Yankees that we had floated and you specifically were on for a while? Sean Murphy, formerly of the Oakland Athletics, going in that three-team deal to Atlanta.
That song "Given Up" by Linkin Park is the first thing that comes to mind because what are they doing, man? Like they had apparently a much better offer on the table from the Cardinals. I forgot which prospects were involved, but it was some high end ones, and the Cardinals actually have a good farm system at this point. Whereas what they gave up from the Braves standpoint, like the Braves got back a fantastic, probably top three catcher in the league behind Will Smith and Realmuto at this point. Um, the metrics on Murphy on every end are outstanding. His numbers are only going to get better going into a batter friendly park because he was playing in Oakland, which is not a great place to play offensively. This is a dude that could easily hit you 20 to 30 homers a season with like 90 to 100 rubies and 840 OPS, 900 OPS even on a good year. Um, you're looking at maybe like a Jorge Posada like player with better defense. So that's crazy to think of because he's only 27 years old. I know that the Braves fans were kind of conflicted about giving up Wilson Contreras because or William Contreras,
William
excuse me,
Contreras. Yep.
because he is a younger dude and he's had one really good season under his belt, and I understand that. But we've seen a really young stud catcher ourselves firsthand, named Gary Sanchez, start off really, really hot, and his defense just simply couldn't keep up. And then once his defense started to suffer, his bat started to suffer. So there is a trend with certain guys like that where there's a lot of upside, but there's a lot of risk as well in keeping that type of guy on the team. And I'm sure William was a great clubhouse guy. That's what it sounds like. He was a gem for the team, and the fans really were endeared to him. But at the same time, man, like Sean Murphy is the way to go if you're looking to build for the future and the immediate present as well. And I think pairing him in the infield with a Matt Olson, because they're around the same age, is going to be a fantastic core to build around for the next few years. I'd expect a contract extension within the next 2 or 3 months for about 5 to 7 years, easy for Murphy.
Yeah, I wonder what they do with that because he has a few years of arbitration still left, so they
I
can
think
get
till
decent value
2025.
till
Yeah.
2025. Yeah, and you say building for the present and for the future. It seems to be that's always the Braves' MO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw some people on Twitter, and some people on Twitter don't necessarily represent the Grandize thinking, but they weren't being dumb, but they were asking, hey, like the Braves had a pretty good situation with d'Arnaud and Contreras, why go for Murphy here? And I say in baseball, you have to upgrade anytime that's available to you on a good deal. The Braves did not give up a lot in this deal. Like you said, William Contreras, great hitter, great rookie season. He made the All-Star team for the NL as the backup DH, and he ended up starting because of the Bryce Harper injury.
Yep.
But the NL, like the CBA was ratified in February.
Mm-hmm.
So the National League hasn't had time to go full throttle on signing guys to be DHs. It's been kind of just an extra utility piece, your
Yeah.
ninth hitter, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So Contreras had a really good season, but um how does that fit into the catching element? They preferred d'Arnaud in every big game in the playoffs. He caught every
Yeah.
game for them in the playoffs. I don't think Contreras got behind the plate in the postseason. Even the Braves had a short run, granted, but um and you need to have that elite defensive ability to be a prolonged catcher in this game to go 100 to 120 games. Sean Murphy has the bat and the defense that you can put him behind the plate for 120 games. The best on the market at his age, at his availability. I can think of JT Realmuto being more well-rounded. I would say maybe there are better catchers overall, but Sean Murphy at his age, at his controlled level for the Braves, perfect deal.
I mean, his defensive metrics too are comparable. Like they're respectfully comparable to our guy Jose Trevino, who we love. We absolutely love Trevino, but there's no denying that you're upgrading on all cylinders when you bring in a bat like that, because there's only upside at that point. And it's really going to be interesting because Murphy is only going to elevate guys like Spencer Strider, who are very young and coming off of really good seasons. Ian Anderson, all these guys are still pretty young and they have a high ceiling, and having a good play caller behind the plate who knows how to call pitches the right way and knows how to work and adjust on the fly with pitchers if they're struggling, that's going to be huge for the Braves. They're already at a good point with their pitching. It's only going to get better because of this move.
Yeah, and to bring it back to the Yankees, which is what we're here for.
Yeah.
People also on Twitter, we're talking about the Sean Murphy trade. When we did our show, I nixed the trade. I didn't nix the trade. I went away from it just because of the money constraint. And I think we're seeing signs more and more that the Yankees are willing to push the boundaries of that money. And Sean Murphy is controllable. Jose Trevino will not have another offensive season like he had last year. That is his ceiling. So he's a great defensive catcher. But if we had both Sean Murphy and Jose Trevino, I think both of them can play 100 games between. I know that doesn't add up as catcher, but if Jose Trevino plays 90 to 100 games at catcher, Sean Murphy plays the other 60 to 70 and then DHs, that is an elite catching tandem. And
Yeah.
you're not losing things depending on the matchup, putting Sean Murphy behind the plate behind Jose Trevino because the defensive metrics are comparable. Trevino is the best. Sean Murphy was a Gold Glove finalist and not like a bullshit Gold Glove finalist like some of the other guys were. He was legitimate. I thought Juan Soto was a Gold Glove finalist. Don't get me started.
That's a joke, man. A fucking joke.
He was potentially the worst outfielder defensively in baseball this year, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, he can get real good though.
Yeah. Yeah, when I think baseball, rightfully so, has started to realize when you're making diving plays and sliding plays, part of it is because you should have gotten there in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
A lot
but
quick measure.
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, back to Sean Murphy. I think that would have been a great deal for the Yankees, and I'm surprised how little the Braves gave up. I thought, and part of another reason why I went away from it is because of the cost of our farm that it would have been. So.
We're not even touching Volpe or Dominguez or any of those guys. We maybe give away Trave Sweeney, but like if you comparatively look at our farm compared to the Braves farm, their number one is more like our number 10. Like we wouldn't be touching the top tier guys that we've got. So if that was the case, man, like you better be saving that for a Brian Reynolds or someone along those lines, or even like we've mentioned before in our previous episodes, Pablo Lopez. It has to be someone that's worth that kind of prospect capital because you could have fleeced them just the same way that the Braves did.
Yeah. And William Contreras is a big quote unquote prospect. I know he had full run in MLB this year. I don't see him at a higher level than honestly like a Gleyber Torres.
Yeah.
Gleyber had two great all-star offensive seasons, in terms of hitting potential. If William Contreras is not going to give you anything defensively, even if he's a bit better of a hitter than Gleyber Torres, I think Gleyber is a better, more proven player, and his value's a bit down now with his recent seasons. But so I think that's what would be giving back in a trade, and maybe a low-level prospect, which is what the Braves gave up. So I'm surprised the Yankees didn't knock down that door more. Maybe it was a massive offer, and they just didn't want to do another deal with the A's after the Montas deal and giving up Sears and Waldichuk, who were going to be their 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 starters. It seems like.
Yeah, the other way around. Yeah, Waldichuk's definitely going to be like a 2 for them this
Yeah.
season. Well, she wouldn't have probably even cracked the starting rotation for the Yankees. I mean, with Tyone gone, maybe he would have been like a swing guy. But if I'm an A's fan, I'm like, what are you doing, man? Just
If I'm
because
an A's fan, I'm not.
I'm moving over to the Bay. I'm moving over to the Giants, man. Because like, why wouldn't you? You've got stud shortstop there for the next 13 years. Meanwhile, your highest paid player is probably Tony Kemp right now.
He's their leadoff hitter
He is. That's
for
terrifying.
sure. Yeah.
So they flipped the lineup and didn't do anything to actually make it better.
Serious over under 55 wins for Oakland.
Under.
Under 45.
I want to see 46. Like a
If
nice
they
even number.
if they go under 50, I legitimately think it is grounds for commissioner and the owners to take the team from the ownership group.
Absolutely.
I think this is a travesty is real dramatic. It's disrespectful to a competitive business
Yeah.
to not be competitive intentionally. They're like, it is a business, but what other businesses don't try and have a successful product that
Yes.
aren't
Yeah.
multi-level marketing schemes? Like
Hmm.
ultimately, you are there to make money, but the part of the goal is to have a successful product, or you're literally scamming, or like it is fraud. It is fraud if you just try to make money and do not put out a competitive or quality product because you're taking money from people. And I credit the A's fans who are not going to games, who are not watching the team, because you cannot reward them with this money because they're not putting out a winning product. This is a it it's so disrespectful to the game.
Yeah.
And also like borderline, I don't know the business legalities of it. I'm sure
It's
it's
very
fine.
gray area. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like business 101 or accounting 101, you generate revenue by bringing in a lot of assets because they generate you revenue naturally. That's what they do. And they up your product. So like why wouldn't you be stock loading that? You don't have to go crazy like the Padres or even do what the Yankees did with the Judge signing, but there are ways to make it, fairly economical without completely breaking the bank and then also still improving your team. So it's just ridiculous. And people get on Steve Cohen right now. Like there's a lot of people that are like seeing him as a villain because of what he's done with the Mets this season, which we will definitely talk about shortly. But if you're looking at it, who's the real fucking villain here? Cohen, who's trying to improve his team to the best of its abilities with his money, or an owner that is just neglecting an entire fan base and bringing down the rest of the league? So this is a proper grounds to actually think and consider strongly about a salary floor.
I agree. And I think we should pivot there to Cohen because I hope he has some baseball interested like nephew or in-law who he can give a tenth of his money, not a tenth. If he can get a hundredth or a thousandth of his money to buy this Oakland A's, give them a stadium, give them a team. Um, because I think Steve Cohen right now is paying the A's payroll 6 times over.